The Titan HN is a Tier 7 German collector heavy tank. It was given away during the Halloween event, and not many people thought much of this vehicle. It's got okay armor, and it's got a decent gun, but nobody really cared because it wasn't anything special. But there is one very special thing on this vehicle that Wargaming was hoping was going to make it a very unique tank, which has to do with the armor profile. It has dynamic armor. Now, the way it works is basically for this tank, when you get below 50% health, I'll play it in front of you as well, you have a sequence of animations that will move your side armor up to the front, it will move your lower plate, or like that little plow you have on the bottom, upwards, and it will give you stronger frontal armor, stronger side armor, and stronger turret armor. That's really cool, and it does actually add extra armor onto the vehicle like the Titan. It's not a huge amount, but I can definitely see in the future where this concept will come into play. And that's where today's video comes into place. We're going to be talking about the dynamic armor that is going to be changing how it looks like certain vehicles are in the game. In front of you is a little picture that we have been able to find in the Wargaming files. It says, dynamic armor moves armor to cover weak spots in the hull turret, creating more additional protection. For the Titan HN, it activates when the health drops below 50%, but here is the information, ladies and gentlemen. For the Titan 54D, activates after dynamic armor system is used. Now, this brings a lot of speculation and what we're going to be talking about mostly in today's video, the Titan 54D. Now, what that means is it's based off of a T-54. You can see here that frontally, yeah, that is definitely a T-54. So, is this going to be a Tier 10 that has dynamic armor that's going to be brought into the game? I have no clue. Most guesses are, that my friend said, is that it could possibly be a Tier 8, but I don't really know. It's a T-54. You can't make a T-54 in Tier 8 because the armor's way too strong already. So I feel like this is going to be a Tier 10 medium tank, but I could be wrong, and obviously that this is all speculation based off of a single picture. But clearly in the picture, we can see that this is a T-54 on the first one. It's got that same sloped upper plate, same sides, and as well the same T-54 type turret design. The really cool part is the dynamic armor we can see on it. Now, it looks like the side has like an extra side skirt that kind of lowers down maybe, because you can see it gets extra side skirt armor, although that won't make a huge difference. What will make a big difference is, first of all, this little bit of spaced armor on the back of the turret is going to shoot up to the front like a Defender Mark I. So that is going to add some massive spaced protection, most likely to the frontal of the T-54D. As well, we have a pike nose design, and that's really cool because you'll notice to begin with, it's not normally a pike nose. Like, it already looks like it gives some okay armor protection on the front, and if this is truly a T-54's hull, and then you add on, let's say, another 20 millimeters of armor, the T-54 already has about 240 millimeters, so if you add that on extra, that's actually really strong. But you'll notice that it bends upwards, and it forms into a pike nose design, and that looks really cool. Now, it almost looks like an MBT, a heavy tank, so I'm not exactly sure how this system is going to work, because the Titan, it says, activates when hit points drop below 50%. But this one just says, activates after dynamic armor system is used. Now, this gives us a couple possibilities that have popped into my and my moderator's mind. First of all, it could be a consumable that is either usable or non-usable, on the sense that you could just have a consumable just like Adrenaline, where you plop it on, and it's a fourth consumable slot that when you use it, you get it for like 20 seconds, the armor gets good for 20 seconds, and then it goes back to normal, and you've gained that extra armor as like a boost on your tank. The other idea we have come up with is the fact that it slows your tank down. For anybody that doesn't know what siege mode is, it exists with the Stridsvagn 103B and some of the UDES tanks on World of Tanks PC. Now, what siege mode does is it gives you benefits by taking away some advantages. So the UDES are normally very fast tanks, same for the Stridsvagn. But if you go in the siege mode, your tank only goes like 12 forwards, but you get massive amounts of gun depression over the front, and it's how you actually use your Swedish tank destroyers. It's possible for this type of tank as well. When you use the armor, it's going to make you go much, much slower, maybe only at a top speed of 20 or 30 kilometers per hour, apart from the normal 45 to 55 it'll go as it is a T-54. I think that'd be a really cool way of balancing it, make it go really slow like a heavy tank if you want to use the armor, but as well make it go go really fast like a medium if you want to use it like a medium. That would make it one of the most adaptive tanks in the entire battlefield. All I can say is that this tank looks really cool, and I'm excited and nervous to see how it's going to come into the game. Wargaming did a pretty decent job balancing the Titan. There's not much special about this vehicle, and sure, the armor animation is really cool. I mean, I'm not doing too bad in the vehicle myself, 77%, but it's definitely not one of the most exciting vehicles. But yeah, the T-54, I mean, it's already a Tier 9 Soviet tank. So that's why I'm just wondering, what is Wargaming planning on doing? The 54's already got really strong armor. I mean, if they'd picked a lightly armored tank, imagine like an AMX 1390, and then said, here, get some extra armor, I would have understood, because it's a lightly armored vehicle. But the T-54 is one of the most armored mediums tier for tier in the game. It's basically a T-54 Mod 1 just souped up a tier. So I'm very, very confused on how Wargaming is planning on balancing out this vehicle. But the one thing I can say, at least from looking at the picture of this tank and why it might not be a tier 10, is the gun barrel. If you'll notice that this gun barrel does not have a muzzle brake, you can see it just kind of folds off here, and I can just, it just goes straight and gets smaller and smaller and smaller. The reason that kind of catches my eye, and as well the kind of overall general turret design, is if we go back to Blitz, you'll notice the 54 has a bit of a muzzle brake, and that's also the same case for a tier 10 gun. That would be the 62A gun and the Object 140. Both of them have muzzle brakes on the end. However, if we go down to tier 8 and we take a look at a vehicle, let's say like the T-4400, it doesn't really have much of a muzzle brake. Same for like the Mod 1, especially the Mod 1. It just kind of gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And the tank that it kind of reminded me most likely to look like was the T-54 Lightweight, which you can see also barely has a muzzle brake, very similar turret design. So yeah, it's weird how the gun is kind of shaped right now, and I'm not sure if it is going to be a tier 10, a tier 9, or a tier 8, but either way, it looks really, really cool. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Obviously, it takes a lot of time and effort to get this information out to you guys before other YouTubers, and as well just keeping my toes up and making sure I get everything up for you guys. Now, this is confirmed because this is not made by me. This was actually grabbed from in-game files. So I just want to point out now that this is Wargaming confirming it. It's not like, this could happen. This tank will be coming into the game. Most likely next patch, we will see it enter testing. So yeah, keep your eyes open, keep them peeled for a new T-54D to enter the game. I don't really know how I personally feel about this tank yet. I'm going to have to wait for the statistics and for the overall vehicle to be released. But right now, it's looking like it could be a tier 8, looking like it could be a tier 10. I don't think they do a tier 10 just because, it's something new. Maybe in the future, they're planning on adding a tech tree line that's like this. But for now, it seems like I'm thinking it's going to be a tier 8. But I don't know. I'm kind of mixed matched. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.